Welcome back. You're tuned into Midcap Radar. A couple of stocks under pressure. Infosys has moved to the low point of today's trading session, as well as Ken India. That one's lost a bit of from the high point of today's trading session. Both of them down about 2%, currently trading at the lowest point of today's trading session. So that's pretty much about it. But let's also cut across to Naveen Shetty, who is speaking with Samit Ghosh, the founder of Ujjivan Financial Services.
Yeah. Thank you for talking to CNBC TV 18, sir. So I want to begin by asking you, the main purpose of your IPO was to reduce the foreign holding. Right. So what was the current foreign holding, and maybe post the IPO, what will be the foreign holding in your company?
So before our original foreign holding was about over 90%. We did the pre-IPO and it's come down to 77%. Post-IPO, we expect it to be somewhere 44-45%, around 44-45%.
Sir, in terms of the profitability, you have been doing really well. Just one thing what I wanted to ask you, you also have a primary issue. Now, this will have an impact on your overall net worth, and maybe going ahead, there will be an impact on the ROEs. So, we are estimating, our estimates say that your ROE might be half post the, post the IPO. So, when do you get back to...
Definitely, we have to do a lot of investments in terms of IT, in terms of branch infrastructure, in terms of people. So there'll be a fair amount of cost involved. At the same time, we expect our borrowing costs also to come down, But for the first couple of years of the SFB, we expect ROE and ROA to drop, and subsequently go back to the normal,
But if you could just give a timeline, you might be having some timeline by when do you see it subsequently going back to those?
Our expectation is it will impact us for 2 years.
For the initial 2 years, maybe.
2 years, starting from the next financial year when we start operation.
Also, sir, wanted to ask you, you are going ahead with a small banking license. In the presentation also you mentioned about it. So it might also have an impact on your NIMs going ahead. So what will be the impact on that front, and how do you plan to cope up with that?
Well, as far as NIMs is concerned, as I told you, today we do most of our funding through term borrowing. Okay, so where our average cost is around 12%. As we go ahead, there are two things which will help reduce the borrowing costs. One is the interbank rates are much lower than the borrowing costs we have today, so that will have an immediate impact. And subsequently, of course, as we build up our retail deposit base, which takes a longer time, will reduce our this thing. So I think those two together will help us to maintain our NIMs which we have at present,
Also, sir, a few of your loans will be double finance loans. So what is the proportion of those kind of loans? There will be some other lender also to your loans?
So RBI permits two MFIs to lend to this thing. Today, around, I think, 40% of our loans including us, there are two MFIs lending to the customer.
Also, sir, wanted to get details of new products that you are launching. What kind of new products that you are looking into right now?
So basically, we look at the future is going to be the growth is going to come mainly from our individual lending to the micro SME sector, and also for housing, The group loan will be a solid base for us. It's 88% of our business. That will remain the solid base. But the growth will come from our loans to the micro SMEs, individual loans, and for housing. So we are developing products for that. And obviously you have the retail liabilities is something completely new for us. We have also given our all India infrastructure. We operate across 24 states and union territories. We have an excellent infrastructure for remittances, given our wide customer base. So remittances is also something which we are looking at, as a product, new product to offer. And finally, third-party insurance, where we'll tie up with insurance companies to provide third-party insurance to customers.
Sir, also wanted to get a sense on what is the average asset and liability duration in your loans?
See, our as per the RBI regulations, any loans over 15,000 has to be over 2 years. So, roughly, I think our average loan size, average loan tenor today is about a year and a half.
Also, sir, I wanted to know in terms of the ticket size. I also asked you about the new products that you are looking into. But what is the average ticket size that you are looking for the products that you will be launching?
See, our average ticket size for the group loan is about 23,000 today, you know. But for individual loans, it will be much higher, you know. So it could, depending on whether it's housing or micro SME kind of funding, it could range anywhere between 2 lakhs to 50,000 to 2 lakhs. Okay. For housing itself, it could go up to about 10 to 12 lakhs.
Sir, one question which I personally wanted to ask you was, you have always been going ahead with a social initiative in your business. Now that you will be coming to the capital markets, and we all know how capital markets are, you will be scrutinized on a quarterly basis. So how do you maintain the balance going ahead?
I think, you know, the thing is, we are going to convert to a bank. A bank, it is not a short-term proposition. I think all our investors also have to look at it, look at us from a medium to long-term perspective. You know, just quarter and quarter kind of thing is not going to be not a healthy kind of situation, you know. So I think that's we have to take our investors along with that, you know, to understand our business, take a longer term perspective rather than a quarterly perspective.
One last question, sir. There is competition mounting on the digital front by players like UTI and all. How do you plan to tackle it? Any strategy that you have chalked out?
We are already pretty advanced in digital technology. For instance, our loan officers.
Okay, that is more from Ujjivan, the micro lender, which will soon become a small finance bank, and I guess it's hoping to follow the success of Equitas. Equitas is still holding up with gains of close to about 25% thereabout. Ujjivan has priced its issue between 207 at the lower end to 210 at the upper end, and it is looking to raise close to about 850 to 900 crore, which will be a combination of the existing FIs paring down their stake as well as raising some additional money. Equitas, by the way, has slipped a bit from the day's high.